it's holiday time, a time to improve ourselves, a time to evaluate what we have done in the past year and find places that in which we can do better. Maybe it's time to get a new habit, develop a new habit, a good one, or get rid of a bad habit. So what better time to do this than now, around New Year's, to finally make promises to ourselves, promises of improvement. As most of you already know, the New Year's revolution is a secular tradition, which is very common in the Western Hemisphere, but also used a lot in the Eastern Hemisphere. And in this tradition, someone makes promises to themselves to improve themselves. But did you ever stop and wonder how this habit evolved and why it was born? Well, follow me for a travel in time, and I'll show you how the concept was born and how it developed over the years. It is believed that the ancient Babylonians were the first ones mentioning the New Year's resolution, in the sense that they were always offering gifts to their gods, praying for forgiveness for the sins they had in the past year, but also making promises to return their debts and the borrowed objects. However, most of the people believe that the Romans are the ones who built the New Year's resolution tradition. Every year, at the end of the year, they were praying to god Janus, one of the most common gods in early Rome. And actually, the month of January is named after the god Janus. This god had two faces, one facing forward and one facing backward. And this is why the Romans thought that through this god, they can evaluate the past year, and that's why god Janus was looking backward, and they can look forward to the new year. And again, that's the symbolistic of god Janus looking forward. So at the end of each year, they were making these promises for the new year and trying to forgive their enemies and in the same time get their own sins forgotten by god Janus. Now, in the Middle Ages, there's another tradition regarding the New Year's resolution. The knights were taking the vow of the peacock each year during Christmas times. During this time, they were trying to reaffirm their commitment to the chivalry, which is the code of conduct that shows the morality of the knights. The vow of the peacock, it's also a very famous romance of the 14th century, and it talks about the 9 worthies. These 9 worthies are 9 secular, very famous characters that represent the morality of the knighthood. So this is why the knights were always trying to achieve this perfection that the 9 worthies were representing by making these promises to themselves, the promise of chivalry. Nowadays, the Christians are trying to set up their New Year's resolutions at the watch night service. And when they are doing that, they have a lot of time to think about the past year, analyze what has happened, and where they can improve themselves. Most of the watch night services are starting at before midnight and after midnight. So people have a lot of time to analyze what has happened and where they can improve. And the same goes for the Judaism New Year. They can, whether we're talking about the high holidays or the Yom Kippur, people have a big opportunity to reflect upon what has happened and improve themselves. So no matter what the religion is or what time we're talking about, it's all about the concept of self-improvement and setting up goals annually. As you can see, over the years, people have tried to self-improve all the time. And the thing is that the more time passes, the resolutions only become more and more complicated, and the volume of the resolutions is also higher and higher, just because people are more demanding with themselves and with the others. For example, to illustrate my point, I'm going to talk about a 20th century postcard for resolutions compared to one from nowadays, from 2014, almost 2015 now. The 20th century postcard was simply saying, New Year's resolution, resolve some of your old issues, the things that you haven't resolved in the past, and add a few more. Resolve as much as you can, and for as long as you can. What else can you do? So it wasn't something very dramatic and very demanding, whereas the 2014 resolution card is very overwhelming with more than 50 resolutions on it. Now, all that this means is that we have to be more creative and try to find better ways to keep our resolutions, because after hearing all this, you might ask yourself, why haven't we, if everybody's making so many promises each year for self-improvement since the beginning of times, why aren't we living in a better world? Well, the problem is that most of the resolutions we don't actually get to keep. Most of the times we don't even keep them for the first week of January. And this is why people are even saying that New Year's resolutions is actually a to-do list for the first week of January. So what would be the solution there? Because there's even another recent study showing that 9 out of 10 people who make a New Year's resolution don't keep it. And more than that, 50% of the people making a resolution, they are absolutely convinced they are going to keep it the full year. Well, there's a little solution there. The study also shows that men are more likely to keep the resolution when they are setting exact goals. For example, saying I'm going to lose a pound a week instead of just saying I'm going to lose weight. And there's another solution for women too. They actually believe that if they are sharing their goals with someone else, then they are going to have a higher chance of realizing that promise to themselves. So I would say, let's not get discouraged by the bad statistics saying that 9 out of 10 people will not achieve their New Year's resolution, and just keep setting up our goals and try to build goals that are measurable and sustainable by sharing them with our friends and family. Thank you.